All right, Bears-Vikings grades from yesterday's game. It's not pretty, guys. That was a rough game, but there was so much potential in this game. Let's have a difficult conversation about Caleb Williams because, guys, I'm telling you, now I'm not professing that I'm the only right person out there and my opinion's the only way and I'm right and everybody else is wrong. I'm just telling you, I see things a whole lot different than you guys who are in the Chicago media narrative, who are listening to Waddle and Sylvie, who are listening all day to these guys that pump out the same regurgitated content. They're all saying the exact same thing, and I don't buy it. And I'm not just looking at PFF, because those who oppose me are saying, oh, you're just stuck on PFF. You're just a PFF guy. Yeah, I use stats. I do. I use stats as my analysis. I also look at actual tape. If you didn't see last week's All-22, I'm going to do another All-22 this week. I look at it. I study this crap like I shouldn't. I'm obsessed with it, and I'm telling you right now, this is not all on Caleb Williams. It's also not on this line. This is not a line issue. This line is not a bad line. Half of you just left the room. Half of you said, F this guy. Screw you, Adam. We're done with you because we don't want to hear about the line. It's not the line. I'm telling you right now, this is not on the line. This is not a bad line. Now, of course, when you have backups like Larry Borum and Jake Curhan and Kieran Amagaji, who are being thrust into roles that they shouldn't have to. We do not have depth at the line. I agree with that completely. So is this on Caleb? I've done this conversation 15 times. I'm not going to try to force my will upon you guys, but he only had 2 sacks yesterday. He was only pressured 9 times. And the reality of the situation is he's got to get rid of the freaking ball. You listen to it the whole first quarter from Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, and they were sitting there talking and saying he's got to get there's a reason they're talking about that. Okay? It's not just because it's a cute little narrative. Now, some Bears fans are so hardcore on the Caleb Williams side that we have to defend him no matter what. He is our quarterback. We defend him. I get it. Because I felt a little bit like that when I was on the stance of Justin Fields. I have to defend this kid because it's unfair what they're doing to him. The reality is there's a lot of problems Caleb has in the league, and I'm going to go over some of those. I'm going to get into the grades of the whole game, and we're going to stop for a part on Caleb Williams. But the true reality is, and I think it's easy to look back and see these things with hindsight, but we liked Matt Eberflus for the defense he brought. But what the F were we thinking? Keeping Matt Eberflus when you had a generational rookie quarterback coming into the league. Now, I wasn't sold on any one quarterback. You guys know that. But as I've watched Caleb's tape, I like the potential he has. But if you're going to get down to the nitty-gritty, brass root reality of this situation, Caleb Williams is playing like a bottom 5 quarterback in the league, but he has top 10 potential, and that's a fact. He misses throws. He almost gets a jitterbug when he gets a little bit of pressure on him. Keenan Allen down the sideline towards the end zone. I haven't gotten the All-22. I haven't even dipped into it yet. I just know from watching the game. He airmailed that ball that should have been an easy touchdown. He misses layup throws to Rome, to DJ. It throws it behind me. He's inaccurate. The same things that I've given to Jordan Love last year, I'm going to give to Caleb. Caleb is one of the least accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. Hands down, bar none. I'd be saying that if I'm a Bears fan or a Packers fan. I'm going to be realistic and honest about it. Now, Jordan Love in his 5th year is finally showing some signs that he can put accuracy together. Caleb's a rookie quarterback. And think about what he's been through. He lost his offensive coordinator the first half of the season, right at the halfway mark. Then he lost his head coach right at the turn, right around week 11. Then you're trying to airmail and piece these things all together. And in this week's game, 4 drops from his wide receivers. It's not fair. It is what it is. But I think he has the mental toughness and the tenacity to work through these things. But this year's offseason is more critical than ever to get the head coach right. Everyone talking about Vrabel or any other defensive-minded coach from the Vikings, from the Lions, from anywhere. I want that nonsense out of the heads. We need an offensive-minded head coach, period. I don't care if the defensive-minded coach brings along a great offensive coordinator. Doesn't matter. I want an offensive-minded coach. When you listen and you see the breakdown of how successful offensive coaches are compared to defensive head coaches, it's mind-boggling. And the only one really holding up the defensive one is Bill Belichick, and he had Tom Brady to do it. As soon as Tom Brady was gone, he plummeted as well. We've got to have someone that understands quarterbacks, that understands this quarterback. I don't care if it's John Gruden, if it's Ben Johnson, if it's Joe Brady. I don't care. I really don't care. As long as their sole focus is on Caleb Williams and getting him fixed, I'm good with it. Because that is the true reality of this situation. You can piss and moan and complain all you want about the defensive line like me. And there's truth to that, and there's fact to that. Look at these last stretch of games when you have Jervon out or you have different play. We have two NFL caliber defensive linemen. Now, I'm being a little unfair because some teams would have Jacob Martin as a backup. Some teams would have Andrew Billings as a backup. Some teams would have Austin Booker as a developmental defensive end. I agree with that. But really, we have two, and we need like 6 more to really solidify this defensive line. On the offensive line, you can take your narratives and twist them all you want, but the reality is Braxton, this is fact. I'm just talking facts. Braxton Jones is a top 20 defense or top 10 offensive tackle in the league. Darnell Wright is a top 20 offensive tackle in the league. Coleman Shelton is a top 10 offensive center in the league. Matt Pryor is a top 20 guard in the league. Tevin Jenkins is a top 20 guard in the league. That doesn't sound like crap, and it's not crap. The reality is people want an excuse. They want a reason to place blame somewhere when the sole blame and purpose of this season, the purpose was to develop Caleb. The blame needs to go on the coaches. We retained Chris Morgan. He clearly doesn't know how to coach these guys right, especially in run blocking. Our run blocking has significantly plummeted the last couple years in the league. We are not even close to the same team. Now, DeAndre Swift shows signs of brilliance. He shows flashes. He really does. He can break to the outside. He can get a burst. He can get a step on guys like very few can. He's not big enough like Saquon or Derrick Henry to be able to do that and then plow some guys over, put a shoulder into him. He's not big enough to be able to hit those 4th and 1s and get the first down. He's just not. We need a workhorse back to go along with him. And this next draft class, I will get into the running back video. This next draft class is loaded with talent for that, for workhorse backs. There is a half a dozen, and guys that in normal drafts would go in the 2nd or 3rd round may fall to the 4th round in this draft. So this is a good year for that. But Chris Morgan, and then you're scrapping together Thomas Brown, who didn't get an offensive coordinator job for a reason, and now he has not won his interview to be the Bears offensive coordinator or be the head coach this next year. He will not be retained. Thomas Brown will be gone. He has not called things. You see, even Kiran Amagaji in his first game, he was developmental, guys. He was developmental. Not even supposed to touch the field till 2025. No one should be crapping on him. Yes, he had a rough game. Gave up more pressures than he should. Had more penalties than he should. He had a rough game. Wasn't even expected to be in the lineup till 2025. I give him a pass. 100% I give him a pass. It sucks for the season, sucks for this game. Was what it was. Now you have Caleb, who is coming along. We'll get into that. So let's jump right in here. Enough of my venting. Here's the offensive studs of the game, and there's not many, and really they're not even that big of studs. When you see these numbers, let's bring this up to the top. Boom, my little circle here. I'll use that. See these numbers over here? These aren't blue. These are not phenomenal. These should be, most of your players should be in this range anyways, but Mercedes Lewis had a good blocking game, finally. Tevin Jenkins had a decent game. There's one, man, he pushed his defender into Coleman Shelton, and Coleman Shelton had to take on 2 guys. Not a good look for Tevin on that one. I don't think he got negatively graded for that play. So that's where PFF does. You have to watch the film, and you have to have the grades do it together. Darnell Wright had a really good game other than the one. I mean, really, if we're going to be honest about it, really great play by Dallas Turner, where he basically did a wrestling undercut move to do a duck under, get past Darnell Wright, and got the sack. So he gave up that sack, but, I mean, every player is going to give up a sack now and then. You're not going to have an offensive lineman that goes a whole season without giving up a sack. You're just not in the National Football League. Jake Curahan, only 3 snaps, but he played well. Didn't give up any pressure. Coleman Shelton with a decent game again. Roma Dunze with a really good game, really good run blocking game. His run blocking has really come along really well. And DeAndre Swift making lemonade out of lemons when situations just weren't there for him. All right, for the pass blocking, not great. We're looking here. We're not looking at our running backs or our tight ends. We're looking at our main playmakers here. So a pass blocking grade of 74 is good for Tevin Jenkins. Matt Pryor with a decent game again. Remember, he's a backup, and I'd like us to retain him and bring him back. And you see between 4 and 9 here, I cut those guys out because they got 1 snap or 2 snaps, or they weren't relevant to the situation. Darnell Wright with the sack allowed, like I said, but other than that, he was pretty solid. Allowed 2 pressures overall. Coleman Shelton allowing 3 pressures, but only hurries, so not detrimental. He did a decent job, 62.2 grade. Mercedes Lewis, pressure on 1 allowed, so his pass blocking wasn't great, but his run blocking was great. So Karan Amagaji, terrible game. I mean, it is what it is. 2 penalties, 1 sack allowed, 4 pressures total allowed, so it just wasn't the best for him, and a tough situation overall, but the line is not trash. 11 total pressures, 9 hurries and 2 sacks. So 11 pressures total, 2 sacks, which is not terrible. And everyone's saying Caleb avoids these sacks, and Caleb causes more sacks than he avoids. I'm not trashing on him. I'm being very realistic. If you want a realistic take that isn't going to be the narrative, come here and I'll give it to you. Pass blocking efficiency for this game, a little bit below league average. You see here, week 15, we were 20th ranked. And if you take Karan out of the game, if you take Braxton starting this game instead of Karan, we're probably going to be top 15 in the league. And we've been trending upward. You can see 2022, we are at 82.5, 2023, 81.1. We are up from that. We were 17th before this game. We're down to 20th now overall. 20th on this week as well, 84.3. So it's down a little bit. But you see teams like Minnesota down here at 26. Their pass rush isn't great either. But they have a difference in quarterback, and they have a difference in their play caller. They can overcome some of those things. Okay, I'm not going to stay here long because this was from week 12. This is weeks ago when they talked about Kerry Joseph and Thomas Brown coming in and helping Caleb get rid of the ball more because he was getting sacked at a historic rate. And you see here, the quote they had was, new offensive coordinator Thomas Brown, in concert with quarterbacks coach Kerry Joseph, is reemphasizing decisiveness this week. They don't want Williams to play cautiously, but they want him to take what's available quickly. And that's been one of the biggest problems for Caleb all year. He's not seeing the open receivers. I highlighted that a little bit last week. I showed a couple plays where he's just not getting it, and I can't play this all the way through, guys, because this isn't the All-22. This is direct broadcast. So we're going to have to just kind of stop and plant this thing a little bit. We're just going to have to move along here through it. So here is on the first drive of the game.
No less on 3rd down.
And, man, it's hard to do when I'm not stopping it. All right, let's make sure. There. Okay, so here's as the play is developing. Here's the big black eye for Caleb, and this is common for the year. And I'm not trashing on him, but you see the line is fine right here. This is 3rd and 2 on our opening drive. We end up going for it on 4th down and don't get it, so this is a pivotal point in the game. But you can see here he does have the out down here. Now, I don't like the out at all, but across the middle here, wide open receiver. He's gotten separation from his man, and
on 3rd.
Right there. His man was honestly just lost. I wish when the All-22 comes out, we'll show this better. But his defender's just lost. So, yeah, Keenan there. I can't tell if that's – I'd have to go back and look and see this. But there's Karan, not terrible. You see the line is holding up very well. And Caleb, instead of throwing the ball right here, I mean, this is a layup throw. Nobody's on the defender or on our receiver there. And Caleb, it's a designed run. This is where I'm saying it's coaching. Not just on Caleb, but he's got so many mixed signals coming at him. He's got 2 different offensive coordinators and now 2 different head coaches. I don't blame him all for this. This isn't all on Caleb, but it clearly looks like, okay, they probably said, if the receiver's not open, take what's given to you and rush for it. We want to use your legs more. Well, both these guys are clearly queued up on that. They're spying. They're spying on this, and they see what he's going to do. Caleb needs to have the awareness and openness to say, I've got the open guy here, and if these guys are both coming in on me, I can just throw a little dump pass here to Keenan. I've got both of these guys. And I'm going to have to hide the video after this so I can just play what Troy Aikman is saying and what Joe Bucker's saying, because what they're saying is, I mean, just real.
Down a couple.
But You see that he's committed now. Both these guys, and now the defender realizes here. Defender realizes, oh, my guy is gone. Caleb can see both of these guys wide open. I don't have the all-22 yet. I'll show it when we get there. But now he's in no man's land, and he's screwed up, basically. And I think this is coached into him. So I'm not blaming him completely, but this play is dead at this point. There's no way we're getting the first down. But if he would have saw it, he had both those receivers there. So let me take this back down, and now I'm going to play it in the background, and then I'm going to show us some of his progression. So let me just play the rest and just listen to what they're saying.
Caleb Williams trying to find somewhere to go. Short of first down yardage. He needed two, got one, and Blake Cashman, a big ad from the Houston Texans, made the stop.
Well, that was good protection up front. He's got two guys running open, and this is some of what Caleb Williams just simply, with more time on task, is going to get more comfortable seeing some of the things that are happening. They've made the decision. They're going to go.
More time on task is spot on. So what they were saying, some Bears fans are going absolutely nuts on what they're saying on the broadcast. But Troy Aikman, he's obviously a Hall of Famer. He knows what he's talking about. Went 0-11 his first season, had some of these struggles. And he even said, Caleb's playing better than I did in my rookie year. It's time on task, but he needs a coach to walk him through this. He needs, think about that. The developmental coach can get those things out of him and be the difference for him in this rookie year into his second year. So more than anything, we need a new coach. So this is the good. Put me right up here so you can see it. Here's the improvements. So here's weeks 1 through 10 versus the last five games, weeks 11 through 15. Okay? And 11 through 15 have been much more stiff competition, some of the hardest competition. You can see those first 9 games, completion percentage at 60.5, touchdown to interception ratio 9-5, his NFL pass rating 81, time to throw. And these are some of the most important metrics to me. Time to throw 3.03, adjusted completion percentage 72.3, big times throw 2.5. Every one of those is up. Now, I'm going to show the bad in a second, but these are all the good. This is all the good that's come along. Look at the last 5 games, 64.3 completion percentage. Not fantastic, but it's improvement. He's improving. He is learning. Touchdown interception ratio obviously is stellar because we know he's broken the rookie record and he's headed towards the NFL record of most attempts without an interception. It's not that he's not putting the ball in harm's. I mean, he's making big throws, trying to put things in there. A couple of them could have been picks. He does have 3.1% turnover-worthy plays, so it's not like he's just being ultra-conservative and being selfish all about himself. NFL pass rating up 99.4 from 81. Time to throw is coming down. There's still some plays that really, really bother me and aren't quite there. His adjusted completion percentage is up. His big-time throws are up as well, almost double. So he's making significant improvements. One of the biggest things that's frustrating to me, though, in 9 games, the first half of the season, and I attribute this to the team checking out. I do. I think some guys have checked out. If you listen to Cole Kmet and him talking about in the locker room, can't hold anybody else accountable, basically, I just got to be there for myself. I mean, these comments these guys are making in the locker room is a locker room falling apart on 8 straight losses. It's taking its toll on them, and it's frustrating. And Cole should be more frustrated than anybody. They're not using him properly. He's not involved in the game plan. He was 1 for 1 on his attempts last week in completions. And I realize he dropped last week the 2-point conversion in the end zone. It's frustrating. But these drops in the last 5 games, 10 compared to 7 over almost double the amount, 8.3% drop percentage on this last 5 games, which is atrocious. You want it below 5. And your elite guys aren't going to drop any. So that's big. I mean, he hasn't had the help he needs while he is developing. So it's not all on Caleb. And it's not all on the line. I just showed the line. I showed how they are producing. They're doing fine. I showed Caleb. This is on the coaches, 100%. And some of it's just bad luck, too. So here's the bad. Here are the bads. And this one is the really bad one, okay? And this is the thing where Caleb really needs to improve. His pressures that turn into sack are 29.5% the first 9 games. It's gotten even worse. And maybe it's bad habits. Maybe it's bad coaching. Maybe it's not just getting the ball out the way it should. But this is bottom 5 in the entire league. So when a pressure comes, quarterbacks can handle it different ways. In fact, there was one that really impressed me from Sam Darnold in this last game. And I've got to do the exact same thing with this clip because it's not all 22. But here's Sam Darnold when they got down right after the pass interference from Tyreek Stevenson. The rough call there. Here's right down on the goal line. And let's see here. So they're going to start the play here. Here's Sam Darnold.
Akers in a tailback.
Snap it. Fakes the handoff. He's going to roll out here. Now I've got to kind of piece it together so I don't get in trouble with YouTube. Come on. Stop it. There's Sweat with the pressure. Got the guys covered very well. You can't see from the outs because it's not the L22. You can't see over here. He's going to roll out here. Let's get back over here. And I just got to find the right spot. Sorry about this, guys.
Darnold keeps.
Don't want to get in trouble for this. Roll. So then Sweat's basically got the sack here, okay? So Sweat's got the sack. What does Sam Darnold do? Shifts. I mean, wish Sweat could have held on there because Sweat deserves some of these sacks. He's doing so well. He's getting all the pressures. There's so many narratives, guys, and this is another one of them. People trashing on Sweat, and I'll show something here in a second. But he's got just as good of inner metrics as Jonathan Greenard, who has 11 sacks, and Sweat is just on an island by himself, causing all the pressure. His win rates are top in the league. His pass rush pressure is top in the league. He's just not getting help from the rest of the team. So here's Sam Darnold. Sweat doesn't get it. So instead of running out of bounds, which I showed earlier, Caleb has done this exact thing against the Vikings 4 weeks ago where he ran out of bounds. That's a sack. He shuffles that off. He shuffles that ball off. Saves. How many yards is that? Right here, he's at the 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yards. 6 yards. That would have been a 6-yard sack. And instead, Sam Darnold smartly just shoveled the ball away as a pass, an incomplete pass out of bounds, and doesn't take the sack. So that's elite quarterback play. It really is. So that is the ugly. His turnover-worthy plays are up. But honestly, I don't care about this one because he's taking shots. This one doesn't matter to me. It's still a low turnover-worthy play. This is the only real bad that hasn't been helped by coaches that Caleb's not getting the help on. This is already a very high rate, and then it's even worse the last couple weeks. So here is, let's scoot this over. Here's your adjusted completion percentage. So there's two things. Here's the sacks. Here's the pressures that turn into sack. Caleb is worse. I mean, Will Levis is right there with him. These two are not getting rid of the ball when they need to get rid of the ball. They got to pressure, you got to get rid of the ball. That's just period. 3.01 time to throw does not help. This is why Deshaun Watson's struggling so bad this year too. It's a bad look. We're going to call a spade a spade. Caleb needs help here. He's struggling. This is not all on the line. That is on Caleb. Accuracy is the other issue. I called out Jordan Love. And look, Jordan Love's accuracy has gotten better. His adjusted completion percentage, which is the definition of accuracy by all metrics, was at 72, 73% last year. He was down here as one of the worst in the league. Now, Caleb is right in that same range. To be fair, all rookies struggle with accuracy when they come in the league. And then you say that and say, well, look, Jaden Daniels right there at the top. He came into a good situation with the coach and the right situation for him. He was more pro-style ready. I'm not saying Jaden Daniels is better than Caleb, but he is playing better so far in his rookie year. Nobody can deny that. You get down here, though, and you got Caleb as one of the bottom 7 in the league for accuracy, and he is. He just misses open throws. He gets razzled. As we do the All-22 breakdown, I'll show where a couple of them where he's escaping some of that pressure. He airmails it when they're just, there's situations where these guys are open and he can't airmail it like that. So the other half of that, you see right here, this is from Caleb, 4 drops in this game, 18% dropped for the game. And you look at this game, you got Rome with 2 receptions on 6 targets. He dropped one of them. Here's his drop, Rome's drop right there. I should use the circle here. Rome's got the 1 drop, and then Keenan Allen with 3 drops. And Bears fans can tend to be so extreme. Keenan has been a great outlet for Caleb this year, and he gets open a ton. He's an exceptional route runner. You can't take this one game of 3 drops and say, oh, we can't re-sign Keenan and we can't have Keenan back and he needs to be off the team. The biggest mistake we ever made was trading a 4th-round pick for Keenan Allen and paying him $23 million. It's extreme, guys. It's extreme. It really is. Because Keenan, right now, I want us to re-sign him on a value contract, $15 million a year. I 100% would take that because Keenan is a Hall of Fame elite route runner who gets open for Caleb. He's been a great outlet for him. Been one of the best things for Caleb this year, but this was a bad game for Keenan Allen, 100%. Tyler Scott got in at the end. That was from Travis Bagent. DJ Moore, really excellent game for him, 8 for 8 on his targets. There was the one that was missed in the end zone, so I don't know why they're not calculating that into there. They might call that a pass breakup, but DJ Moore did have the one miss there, but that's the only one I noticed as well. So rough game for the receivers. All right, let's cruise through the rest of this because the grades video is not really supposed to be too long. But the run blocking, the one highlight here is Rome. Rome is absolutely exceptional in this game. You noticed it on film. When I saw the grades, I was like, yep, that checks out. That verifies what I was seeing on tape. Tevin Jenkins is always a good run blocker. Darnell Wright. The things that worry you more are Karan filling in was not there. Matt Pryor has not been the best run blocker as well. Struggling for him as well. Coleman Shelton right there at the line where you want them to be at 65 or above. So really Matt Pryor and Karan Amagaji made it hard for the run, but DeAndre Swift still found some good opportunities in the middle of all that. Move to the defensive side of the ball, and when you only have 6 guys on your defensive studs list, it's bad. That is terrible. You got to have more guys than this. So the one positive I want to point out, and this more than anything, guys, this doesn't mean, oh, Jonathan Ford should be a starter and he's a hidden gem on a practice squad. This shows more than anything how absolutely abysmal and terrible our defensive line is. That he can come in and perform better than everybody else and gets opportunity to run stuff. I wouldn't want him to be a starter for us, but maybe he can be our defensive tackle 5 next year. Maybe we retain him and have a good, huge body guy that can be able to stuff the middle, because he didn't look bad in this game at all. I'm excited to see what he can do over the last 3 weeks because he needs opportunities. Develop him a little bit. That's fine. We're not going to have our stud out of him, but this game was fun to see that. So Daniel Hardy, very limited snaps, doesn't really count towards these top grades, but Jalen Johnson did have a good game. The only person that seems to know how to tackle on this team is Jalen Johnson. He had the one tackle for the loss that was really critical. There's our big boy Jonathan Ford. Here's something I don't bring out too much, but I look at it. And this is one thing that stood out to me with Jonathan Ford, your average depth of tackle. Okay, so this is where they end up getting the tackle. You don't want to see stuff like this with Dominic Robinson, where they're tackling 8 yards forward. So you finally get to the tackle. You were being blocked really well. You couldn't shed your block. You couldn't get off your guy. You couldn't get the tackle 8 yards down the field. The defensive backs, this isn't as bad. Kevin Byard, that's understandable when they're defensive backs and that happens. Austin Booker, he's always got a high motor, but he is constantly coming from behind to get the tackle, so it's not good. DeMarcus Walker, in a down game for him, not the best game for him, that depth of tackle is a good thing. You want to see, it's only 2 tackles, 1 tackle and one missed tackle. So the missed tackle hurt his grade. So when you have a missed tackle, I hate missed tackles. I absolutely hate them. Byron Cowart, I'm sick of those missed tackles. Get off the team. But when DeMarcus Walker has a depth of tackle of negative, that's positive all year long. That's been the way it is for him. So Walker, I do not expect us to cut his contract. I expect him to be on the team next year. $7-8 million for a rotational defensive end that can stuff and can set the edge and can get the tackles. That's a good thing. But then you get over here and you see Elijah Hicks, defensive back. These are always going to be higher because of the position they're playing. But when you see Jonathan Ford, only 1 tackle there, but it was a -1, and this is that tackle that it came on. I was impressed to see him stuffing the hole there. I think he only had 15-ish snaps in the game, 14 run defensive snaps, so maybe more like 20 snaps total. But that was good to see. You can see he's the only one that's up here, only one that's up there. Zach Pickens with no missed tackles, so that's good, but depth of tackle is not good. This defensive line is terrible. It really is one of the worst defensive lines in the class, in all of football. We've got to absolutely overhaul it this offseason. Then here's the pass rush, which hasn't been abysmal, hasn't been the worst thing in the world. Darrell Taylor getting some pressure, which was good to see. He's been really down, so 2 total pressures on 16 opportunities. Not terrible, so his win rate's good. You want to see 16.7% Austin Booker win rate, but his pressure wasn't great, so he's winning, but he wasn't quite getting there. DeMarcus Walker really good with his pressure this game. 7 total pressures. 4 hits, 3 hurries, 7 pressures. So this is a lot of what you've seen from Montez Sweat this year. Getting all those pressures but not getting credit for it, that's really good by him. Montez Sweat with 3 total pressures as well, 3 hurries, almost had the 1 sack, so that's a little misleading on him. But just overall on the year, we're not getting the pressures we need to get by this team. But this game was a little bit better. It was a little bit better. We just weren't resulting in getting the sacks, not a collective unit swarming and getting it done. That's been pretty par for the course for the year, though. So this is where stats need to have film to view as well. If you watch Jalen Johnson in the game, he actually covered Justin Jefferson really well. You can see here 3 targets, 3 receptions, but only a total of 29 yards. When he was on Justin Jefferson, he actually was locking him down. They couldn't get the ball to Justin Jefferson. So it was really good. Tyreek Stevenson, 6 targets, only 2 receptions. That's good. So these don't tell the whole picture. They're just a gauge to kind of come off for it. The negative thing here that you don't want to see, Terrell Smith had an absolutely terrible game. Several times he got targeted. Several times he didn't look great. He did have a missed tackle. That was bad. Jonathan Owens, Kevin Byard not having their best game either. As always, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards not having great games. These are the coverage grades, so I'm not worried about my linemen here. These linemen don't really matter on this. But Elijah Hicks having a decent game. So overall, this defense is in shambles. You don't get pressure. You don't get better coverage. You don't get opportunities to take the ball away. We did have the 1 interception, which was nice. Tyreek Stevenson did get the 1 interception, right place, right time type of situation. Another pass breakup as well, pass breakup for Kevin Byard. But overall, the secondary is really struggling. And part of that is Matt Eberflus being gone, but a huge chunk of it really is the defensive line being so bad they don't get pressure to help. Tampa 2 cannot be successful without pressure, period. All right, duds in this game, guys, and it's half the team with grades, defensive grades lower than acceptable. Zach Pickens, Kyler Gordon, Chris Williams, Byron Cowart, Jack Sanborn, Jonathan Owens, Jacob Martin, Kevin Byard, Terrell Smith, Montez Sweat, Dominic Robinson. Overall, all their grades terrible. We're going to move past this, move on. All right, here's Caleb. Here's some more positive. So look up top here. He now has 286 attempts in a row without an interception. He's coming up closer to these all-time records as a rookie. He can get real close there. He had 30-plus attempts in this game. If he has 30 in each of the last 3 games, he'll have 376, so he'll be right behind this, and the record will have to get extended into next year. So hopefully we can air the ball out, see what he's got. Put 40 attempts up a week, and that would put him right there at the – if he has 40 attempts each week for the last 3 weeks, he has an opportunity to break the all-time record. Who knows if it'll happen? It's not the most critical thing to happen. It's just nice to see that he is protecting the ball. He's learning. He's progressing. He's developing. Anyone crapping on Caleb does not understand the situation at hand. Anybody crapping on the line does not understand the situation at hand. This is just a bad situation for the team, for Caleb, for coaching. It's just not – it's not ideal. But here's where he stands. Right now he's on pace for 35-66 to end the year, 29-37, on pace for 21 touchdowns. So probably not going to beat the Bears records. He definitely beat the rookie records. And then next year he can go for the Bears records, which I totally think with the right quarterback coach, he has an absolute shot to do it. And then here's your receivers on pace for 1,000 yards. None of them, but DJ Moore is on pace for 931, 691, 758, 590, 561. All 4 of them having decent years. I'd like to see some big production in the last couple weeks. It'd be fun to have the Bears fans to have something to be excited about. So there's our honest conversation about Caleb. Hopefully everybody can keep things in perspective when it comes to that, because that's the reality of the situation. It was a crap situation. He's got some things he really needs to develop from, but I don't know if those things are going to happen without a really good offensive coach, quarterback coach, helping him see the field, helping him break it down and slow it down and get the game to where it needs to be for him. There's so many frustrations, 8-game losing streak, losing your offensive coordinator, losing your coach. These things pile up, and I think he's honestly handling this adversity very well. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know if you are all in on these narratives, if the line sucks, if Caleb sucks, if we should have kept Justin, I get everyone has their own opinion when things are really down, but I'm really glad we have Caleb, and I just hope we get the next quarterback coach and or head coach and offensive-minded person to help Caleb progress. I just hope that's what we get right moving forward. So those are my thoughts on this game, on the grades, on everything to do with it. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so. We'll have more coming out this week. We have a shorter week until the Bears play again this next Sunday. And then we got the holidays, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. So appreciate you tuning in. Until next time, da Bears, and bear down.